Hey guys, one of the biggest problems with mental problems, anxiety, fears, depression, OCD, procrastination, is that they fire automatically and unconsciously. Right? You think of taking a test and boom, your nerves start racking with anxiety. Or you think of a certain person and immediately you're emotionally triggered. You see, the problem is in our unconscious neurology. Now, our brain actually fires up to 10 milliseconds before we're consciously aware of it. And it's not until the signal reaches the frontal lobes that it enters consciousness. But unfortunately, by that time, it's often too late. So the trick is to get ahead of these problematic circuits. Now, thinking is one way we can begin to control the activity of the billions of neurons in our brain and rewire them. Now, how do we do that? How do we control our thoughts? Well, the human brain represents our thoughts in three primary representational systems: the visual system, auditory system, and kinesthetic system. And this corresponds to our occipital lobes, temporal lobes, and parietal lobes, respectively. Now, the frontal lobes control metacognition. That is, they modulate the activity of these three primary cortices. That is, they are the CEO. Now, in order to change your thinking, you need to change the mental images you're making, both memories from the past as well as ideas for the future, and change your internal dialogue, which is going to change your feeling response in your gut brain. You see, our central nervous system is connected to our gut brain via the vagus nerve, and this is how thinking of public speaking can put butterflies in our stomach, or how thinking of a trauma can literally make us sick to our own stomach. Now, each human being utilizes a dominant representational system. That is, you'll be most aware of your activity in a particular system and not as aware of activity in other systems. For example, I work with a lot of people with depression, and oftentimes people with depression are in touch with their overwhelming bad feelings, right? They're very much connected to the kinesthetics, but they're not aware of the underlying memories and thought patterns, the visual images and voices that are generating those feeling responses. So part of the secret to therapy and change work is to bring these problematic circuits into awareness so you can rewire them. Now, whenever you bring a thought pattern into consciousness, the underlying neural circuits will become more malleable and changeable. And this can be a good thing to rewire your brain when you change how you're thinking, but also a problematic thing if you continue to think in the same way and therefore get your brain more ingrained in those problematic circuits. And by definition, when you access a non-dominant representational system, it'll bring your brain to an altered state. We want to produce new and better brain states and then install new mental procedures, new ways of coding, thinking about, and representing memories to therefore change your response in your brain. Because you see, the problem isn't the memories and experiences themselves, but rather how they're coded in your brain that is generating those same problematic responses in your kinesthetic, in your body, in your gut brain. Now, I actually test brain activity changing in real time as a result of changing mental activity. I was recently working with a client with PTSD, and the thing is, whenever she thought of her ex, whether it was just a thought of her ex or something that reminded her of her ex, it would produce an automatic 10x increase in high beta voltage in the temporal lobes, and this produced an absolutely overwhelming fear response in her body. But then I did a little bit of neurotherapy with her. I began to re-represent some of those problematic triggers and memories in her brain and connect new and better internal states to those existing triggers. And suddenly I saw that the brain response was completely changed and that high beta was completely neutralized. So the moral of the story is we have the power to rewire our brain and change our brainwave activity in real time as a result of changing how we think. And I've actually been measuring it for over 10 years. Now, if you want to rewire your brain or help other people rewire their brain as a coach, as a therapist, as a practitioner, or maybe in business to be more persuasive and be a better communicator, I want to welcome you to a very special training I'm doing. In this spring, I'm doing a licensed practitioner training of NLP along with a special module in neuroscience where I'm going to teach you the blueprint, the step-by-step process, and the key variables you need to know to rewire the human brain. So I welcome you to join me this spring in the licensed NLP practitioner training right here in Toronto, Canada. It's going to be the most informative, the most educational, the most fun, the most empowering practical training seminar you've ever experienced.